This is Mongolian Mindset, and today we're going to be doing analysis of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We'll be using Linda Barrens metrics, the best in the game at finding your personality type. And so let's get into this. Our sworn enemy personality database has him as a ESTP with SE in the first spot, TI in the second spot, FE in the third spot, in the fourth spot, NI, fifth spot. If you're following John Beebe's work, 8-function model, fifth spot would be the opposing personality, which would be SI. In the sixth spot would be the critic, which would be TE. In the seventh spot, the trickster, the blind spot, would be FI. And in the eighth spot, the demonic or angelic function would be NE. Okay? So they got him ESTP with 399 votes, isfj with 246 votes, and enfj with 46. So we're gonna break them down. We're gonna see if they're right. If you like the content, please subscribe. We have seen in the metrics that 50% of our viewers are not subscribed. So if you guys can please subscribe. And for a limited time, we are doing free typing sessions. All you have to do is join our Facebook group and message our moderator, Thomas Began, and send him your availabilities. We are doing those for a limited time. So get in there while you can. Yeah, let's get into it.
OMG, it's about to happen. So of the 9 vision... Look at that.
What's up, Atlanta?
All right, so first thing I noticed, he just initiated that. What's up, Atlanta? He just got out there. He's initiating. So we'll put a point down for initiating there.
Thank you, Oprah, for having me. Thank you, guys.
He's talking again. Initiating.
You know, it means so much to everyone that you are here with us today, since it was only 10 days ago that your father, Rocky the Soul Man Johnson, passed away. And when that happened, I thought, oh no, I didn't think that you'd be able to be here. And you are here. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So has it been a challenging week?
It has. It's been a challenging past couple of days. My father, he passed away on January 15th, and we just buried him a few days ago.
Tuesday.
And yes, and you know, as we all go through this, and we all go through this our own process of grieving and regret and all these things and emotions that we go through, but again, it's the cycle of life.
All right, so what I'm noticing is that Dwayne Johnson's coming off direct. So we can go ahead and put an asterisk aside of it, but we're not going to say anything else, but we're going to put it there.
Life, and it's beautiful, it's painful, it's amazing,
Yeah.
It's incredible, it's all these things. And
Okay, so what I'm also noticing is that he's not walking us through a process of anything. He's just spitting the end product, okay? So I'm going to put a point down for outcome. So what he's doing right now is he's talking about something, but he's not going through like how things move through a sequence. With how they buried his father, he just like, you know, kind of going through like the outcomes of everything. Like, okay, this, and then he's talking about other people. So you could say that he just initiated and changed the subject.
I will tell you this, that in this process, I had a very complicated relationship with my dad. And it was really, there was a foundation of tough love with my father. And wasn't a big I love you guy. And as complicated as it was, what gave me great satisfaction at the funeral was to see he was a great friend to so many guys.
Was to see. What gave me great satisfaction was to see. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that down for SE. NI, so we're gonna put a point down for SE. Let's move SE and I together.
Challenged father but a great friend to so many people. So he went quick. There wasn't a lot of suffering, thankfully, but
I read on Instagram where you said you wish
he's not talking about like how things move through a sequence or like what happened. He's just going straight to like the outcome, you know. So he seems to be outcome focused, and he's initiating a lot. So it's looking like he's a in charge type, but we're gonna keep going.
had just one more day. Do you think you got all the things said that you wanted to say?
No.
You did not.
No, I did not. But, you know, so that's the tricky thing, I think, as we all go through this and we all lose loved ones, is I think what I've realized in the past couple of weeks is it's good to explore these feelings. I'm feeling a little guilty, and I didn't get a chance to say the things.
Feeling guilty is FE related. FI is about being ashamed. FE is feeling guilty, so that's a point for TIFE. Okay.
That I wanted to say, or I wish he would have said the things to me.
Yes.
As a father, now as a father of 3 daughters, the important, critical things that anchor us that I didn't get from him. And it's okay to explore those feelings, but it's also very important to heal, to make sure that we come back to an anchoring foundation of gratitude. A gratitude for what I was able to have with him.
Yeah.
You know, and so I didn't get a chance to say the things that I wanted to say to him. However, another thing that is important too is, you know, because in death, that's when we can spiral and think, well, I should have done this and I should have called.
Okay, so he's just initiating another point there. Okay. So I'm already gonna say this guy's direct, and what direct means is that he's specific, concise, and to the point. Okay, he's not informative. Informative, there's two sides: informative language versus direct language. Direct language is specific, concise, to the point. Chooses their role in conversation. Not very hard to understand. Like, it's right there in your face. While informative language kind of beats around the bush, it's wordy, it's descriptive, it's passive aggressive, it's taking a one down role, as in like direct language can do one up, one down. Okay, so it's like I'm telling you what to do type thing. So yeah, Dwayne Johnson is direct. So with him being direct, that eliminates 8 types. So you can only be ESTJ, ESTP, ENTJ, ENFJ, and then you have the introverted ones, which is ISTJ, ISTP, INTJ, and INFJ. And so what we've noticed so far is he's initiated 3 times, a couple more times, and I'm going to go ahead and say he's extroverted. But he's also saying outcomes. And direct types that are initiating are also outcome focused. Introverts are progression, so they talk about how things move from a sequence. They don't just spit the end product out of the mouth. So yeah, that's what we're looking at right now.
I should have sent more pictures, but we got to realize that the relationship that I had with my dad was a relationship that was appropriate at that time.
Absolutely. When did you know that he was proud of you?
Talking about what's appropriate, I'm gonna put that down for FE as well. At that time,
I felt that he was proud of me when I became successful in a industry that he had given his life to. So
That's right.
My father, for a lot of
so you're talking about what he felt from his dad. That's also FE. No, not other people feel. It's FE.
Guys who don't know, he was a professional wrestler.
And so was your grandfather.
And my grandfather was a professional wrestler too. And my dad, Rocky Johnson, was I'm half black and half Samoan. And thank you.
All the Samoans in the house.
So he's initiating there. I'm half black and I'm half Samoan. He didn't have to say that. Okay, so that's another one for initiating. He's initiating a lot, and I'm probably missing some.
The reason why I say this, my dad was a black man coming up in the 60s and 70s in a world of professional wrestling, which in a lot of the companies he wrestled at was all throughout the South. So he was a trailblazer in many ways, because what he was able to do as a black man was wrestle. We lived here in Atlanta when I was a kid.
So he's talking about what others are doing. That's SE. He's saying a lot of SE stuff here. Okay. Talking about what his dad was able to do. He's not talking from a first person perspective. He's not going inward outward. He's going outward inward. It's looking like Rock is a SE user. So we're ready to go ahead and change that he's extroverted off. So be sure it will be done here soon.
What he was able to do was go to these small towns where it was an all-white wrestling
Talking about what other people are doing, SE.
business, an all-white audience. And at that time in the late 60s, where racial tension and divide was still very strong and the wounds were still there, but he was able to change behavior, the audience's behavior. So this all-white audience who would never cheer a black man cheered
Talking
him
about the
in
audience
these arenas.
reaction, that's SE more SE. Jesus. Rock.
And he was actually, it's not like he was wrestling against other black men, he was wrestling against other white wrestlers. So in a trailblazing sense, he was a trailblazer. He did a lot of things that had never been done, but he also changed audience behavior, which is so hard. And the reason why I bring that up is because he was adamantly against me getting into the wrestling business.
Why?
Because when I said to him, I want to get into the professional wrestling business.
Because it's in your blood.
Because it's in my blood, and I felt like I had something to offer. But at that time, we were living in a small apartment in Tampa, Florida, and he said, look around. This is what I have. I don't have anything. And I don't want that for you.
Wow.
So I still had to follow my gut and my instinct.
I had to follow my gut, my instinct, that's SE. Okay, so that's 5 points for SE already. I probably missed points in there for SE, but The Rock is an SE user. So that eliminates ESTJ and ISTJ. You can only be ESTP, ISTP, ENTJ, INTJ, ENFJ, and INFJ, okay? So, yeah.
I think years later, once I became successful as a wrestler, he was very, very proud. And then what he did, he would take credit for everything.
Yeah.
And of course, I taught him everything I know.
More SE.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, I often feel that when someone close to you passes, you now have an angel you can call by name. And in spirit, you can feel them in ways that you couldn't in the flesh. And because there's a density to the flesh. And I wonder, have you reached that yet? It's just been recent. Have you reached the point where you can feel like you have that, the spirits unite. They become
Yes.
like one.
I love that you said that.
I love that you said that. So, yeah, that's initiating there. You see him the whole time. He wanted to say something so bad. Look at him. Go back. Look at him. He wants to say something so bad. Look.
And because there's a density to the flesh. And I wonder, have you reached that yet?
Look,
It's
you
just
see?
been recent. Have you reached the point where you
See
can feel like you have
So,
that?
yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take initiating off the board. He is an extrovert. So, you can't be an ISTP, you can't be INTJ, can't be INFJ. And it is looking like he is a TIFE user. He's not talking about his achievements. He's not talking about data statistics, anything like that. He's coming pretty matter of fact. And he's talking about how other people feel on this, that stuff like that, and gratitude and guilt like that. Those are FE type things. So we're probably gonna eliminate ENTJ very shortly. We'll probably be down to ESTP and ENFJ. And the main difference between ESTP and ENFJ is ESTPs are concrete, so they talk about what is. ENFJs are abstract, and they're like a global abstract. The difference also is ESTP is pragmatic, so they talk about doing what's effective. Tend to be some type of rebellion, like freedom, that type of thing. Tend to like to make choices themselves, while ENFJs are affiliative. They want to do what's right. They believe in inclusion, group, like being with the group, that type of thing. So we're gonna figure out, is The Rock pragmatic? It seems like most likely he is pragmatic. But will personality database be right again? That'd be crazy.
The spirits unite. They become
Yes.
like one.
I love that you said that. I feel like the day he died, that night I went to bed and I felt so, again, grateful and moved, like emotionally, like mana and energy, because I realized, like, oh wow, I have a new relationship with you.
Yeah.
In death, I have a new relationship. In spirit, I have a new relationship with you. Clean slate, no regrets, no pain, no anger, no complication, just me and you.
I love that.
Talking about
And you just
relationships,
mentioned
that's FE.
mana. I saw on your Insta where you were talking
Talking about
about
like relationships and connecting and stuff like that. That's FE. So yeah, it's like a TIFE user.
thanking all your fans for the mana. What
And
is
if you
mana?
notice, he's not quoting books,
so-
studies, anything like that. He's not doing any of that.
Mana in Polynesian
Achievements,
culture,
anything
we have
like
a word
that.
called mana, and mana
He's
is
not.
a powerful word.
He's not really talking about I love or putting like sprinkling FI on stuff. So yeah, Brock is a TIFE user.
It means spirit, power, and so for example, an example of mana is when we walk out and we walk on stage. The mana in this room is so palpable.
Oh, y'all got good mana.
We got good mana here. And that's what it is. It's very powerful. It's a very powerful thing.
So your father was very strict. Now, here's the thing. You've gone
So he doesn't really go through explaining much at all. It's the outcome, just end product.
on with some fierce competitors in the ring, right? But now you are in one of the scariest situations any man can be in, raising 3 daughters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Extremely scary.
And are you a strict dad?
I am. I'm not super strict, but discipline is important. Yeah. But also, you know, I'll go back to my dad. My dad loved me with the small capacity in which he was capable of. Mm-hmm. So I learned from that. And so with my daughters, I want to be as full and as present with the love that I give them.
Present,
So,
yes.
Full in this present, SE.
That's what we've been talking about. What do you want to make sure that they get that you didn't get? And it's so interesting when you have children, I've seen this from a lot of people, who you didn't get what you needed. You just didn't get what you needed because of what The Rock just said. Your parents didn't have the capacity to give it to you. And now that you're older, you have to learn to give that to yourself and to be able to give that to your children in a way that you don't carry on what was done to you. So what is it you want your daughters to know about the way you love them?
See how like Oprah just went through a progression there?
I want my daughters to know that I love them unconditionally, truly unconditionally, without condition. And I have a daughter who's 18 years old. Her name is Simone. Jasmine, who just turned 4.
Tiana.
Baby Tiana, thank you, who is getting ready to turn 2. And I am, as I told my 18-year-old daughter Simone, I said, I love you. I'm going to tell you I love you every day. I'm going to text you I love you.
So you're one of those say the
F-E-F-E-F-E-F-E-F-E.
words out loud.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I didn't get that. And
Yeah.
I will look at you, I love you, and I'm going to text you. But I also told her, I'm unattached. You don't even have to text me back, right? You could text me back, it's fine, but you don't have to. Like, it's okay. It's without condition. It's unconditional
It's
love.
okay. It's F-E-F-E.
And I also want to teach my daughters the value of hard work. More importantly, I want to teach my daughters the value of being kind and how important that is.
Well, you know, I
More
read
F-E.
that your father, you used to watch him in training, and he would say, if I'm going to get up at 6 a.m., you're going to get up at 6 a.m. So what do you think you got the most from him? Was it your work ethic? What was it?
It was definitely my work ethic. My dad was a man who against the odds, made it. And but he would get up at usually 5:30 in the morning, and he would say, if I get up, you're going to get up too. He would drag me to the gym. And by the way, I'm 5 years old, and he would drag me to the gym. Yes. And I wouldn't work out, but he would just make sure that I was there and be with him. And that was our time that we could spend together. And but I would say my work ethic from my dad always said too that regardless of what you do in life and where you go, respect is going to be given when it's earned, and you have to go out and earn it every single day.
Yeah. So your dad
Rock ain't saying no progressions.
taught you a lot. I wonder, what have your daughters taught you?
My daughters taught me how to be, I think, more caring and more sensitive and more selfless.
Yeah. Were you there for all of them when they were born?
I was right there.
Right there.
I mean, right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you were right there.
I was right there, yes. And bring it on. I mean, this is our moment, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
And
our moment.
is that a
S-E
life-changing
and I.
moment when that happens for you?
it's the greatest thing that I have ever experienced in my life. And it gave me such a profound respect for my baby's mamas.
My baby's mamas.
I have two. I was once married, and now I'm happily married. Lauren is back there. We've known each other for 13 years now, but I have, has been the most profound experience of my life, because also too, you know, when you meet, so as a man, you meet someone, you meet a woman, and this is going to be the one, and you want to get married, and my first marriage didn't work out. But then the birth of a child and what that does, and the lens perspective that just shifts, and it just gives me a new profound respect for, again, their moms.
So it didn't work out with the marriage, but then she became your business partner, your first marriage.
She did, yes,
yeah.
yes.
And you still are.
We still are. So my first, my ex-wife, Danny, the marriage didn't work out. And it was just one of those things where it wasn't an ugly divorce. It was just, marriage wasn't in our cards. We're great friends. Marriage wasn't in our cards, but we both had an appetite for business and to accomplish things. And we thought, well, what if we continued to do business together? And do you think we can? And it felt like it was like we could make something happen, and we did. So we had.
It doesn't have to be ugly.
No, it doesn't have to be ugly.
And that's the thing. You proved that. Yeah.
Yes, and if you could kind of remember, as I tell my friends who do go through divorce, if you could remember what it was years ago.
Yeah.
And what that feeling
What is the
was.
reason why you got entangled in the first place? So tell me this.
All right, I'm trying to figure out if The Rock is pragmatic or concrete versus abstract and affiliative. If he's concrete and pragmatic, we're going with ESTP. If he's abstract and affiliative, we're going ENFJ.
Grew up with a lot of money, and I read the story about when I think you were around 15, and there was an eviction notice on the door, and how that made a big impression on you, right?
It did.
Now,
yes.
Now, you're one of the highest paid actors in the world.
Oh, thank you. I do all right, thank you.
You do all right. And
makes him uncomfortable. See, he's not tooting his own horn about it.
Does that title, the sexiest man alive, the highest paid, and do all of those
See, FITE usually would love those titles. Now, let's see how he acts.
What do those titles mean, if anything? You're the greatest, you're the most popular, you're the most followed, you're the most.
It's great for the ego. It's wonderful. Kidding.
Yeah. The better question is, how do you keep your ego in check when all of that is happening around you?
Sure.
Yeah.
Very important. People I have around me and how important that is.
Do you have anybody who can tell you the truth at this point?
Yes, she's called my wife. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Lauren can tell you the truth.
Yes, Lauren can tell me the truth. But by the way, and this is where it's the tricky thing for us too, being in this position, is we want to make sure that we have people around us who are inspired to do well and reach for and continue to share our vision, but also at times say, well, I'm not quite too sure if that's the right thing to do. So look, I've had a wonderful career, especially coming from being evicted, and those titles are nice and everything is fine. But honestly, I'm so grateful to be in the position I'm in, and I never take anything for granted. I try not
Aren't
to.
you glad that you were once evicted?
You see, he doesn't really care about his titles like that. See, I told you guys.
Because it gives you such an appreciation for what you have now.
It just gives such perspective. When we were 14 years old, we lived in Hawaii, and we lived in a small efficiency apartment. And my mom and I came home, and I'll never forget, the rent was $180 a week. And there was an eviction a week, and there was an eviction notice on the door. And it was the final eviction notice. Like, that's the one. My mom started crying, and I never forgot in that moment. It was a seminal moment for me because I felt like I never want to be in this position again. What can I do? So at 14 years old, I thought, well, the heroes in my life, Muhammad Ali, for example, professional wrestlers, they're all men who have worked hard with their hands and they built their body. Yes, that's what I'm going to do.
Talking about what other people are doing and figuring out what he needs to do, that's SEMI.
Dad taught me, and these other heroes, I'm going to go build my body.
See?
So we're never evicted again. But being evicted, by the way, has, as you were saying, has not only given me just great perspective, but also
great. Right there, he was talking about being effective. He's not talking about doing the right thing. He's talking about being effective. Rock, I think, is pragmatic, which means he's ESTP, and personality database would be correct.
Gratitude, but also, and my team and my family, we laugh at it, but I feel this way, like, oh, well, you know, we're a month away from being evicted. I got to go to work. Like, I still have that in my head.
You still have that.
I still have that in my head, you know, but it keeps you grounded, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I that's why the most this and the most that, again, it's wonderful, but the alternative is...
See, he doesn't care about achievements, like I said.
I once was.
And it also doesn't change the way you're wired, because I still save toast. I do. I will save toast rather than throw it away. And I know there's going to be more toast, but I still do because there's something in me. Because when we were growing up, we had to save it. You know, you weren't allowed to like throw
because you're systematic
food away. So there was a really big deal. So here's the deal: you have now you get the biggest paychecks. You have all this money, acclaim, fame. You didn't have that growing up. How do you raise children who have good sense and are also kind when they have everything? Because part of what made you who you are is having had that eviction notice and having not had everything. So how do you do that how are you planning to do that with your children?
So for example, with our 18-year-old daughter, it was really important that we share the stories about being evicted. Her mom's parents were immigrants who came over from Cuba. It's important that we've always shared those stories. And also, we try and keep it as simple as we possibly can.
We try to keep it as simple as we possibly can, trying to be effective. Okay, Rock.
A farm in Virginia. Happily to say that I've moved my family here to Atlanta. So place 30, 45 minutes away where it's very quiet, but also just making sure that we continue to instill in the babies and the kids the value of $1 and what it means and the value of food, and always saying how grateful we are and the things that we're grateful for, especially at that young age.
So I want to know, how is success different from the way you imagined it would be?
I never imagined this. I at one time when I was a kid, I did feel in my heart and in my gut that I thought, oh, I think the world's going to hear from me. I don't know how, but I do feel that way. But I never thought in my mind it was this level of success or fame even. It was, I don't know how, but the world's going to hear from me. So, you know, which is maybe why, you know, at times I could walk around and I could look at things like I'm a big kid, like everything can be like I'm in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, where I'm just really in awe of everything that's really happening around me.
What's the first thing you splurged on when you realized you had enough to splurge?
Okay. So, all right. The first thing I splurged on. So when I was a kid, 13, 14 years old, in my mind, what it meant to be successful, it was a Rolex watch. Right. So there was such a valuable lesson out of this. So I thought for years, oh wait, every successful man has a Rolex watch and has diamonds in it. So when I finally was making a little bit of money, and this was in 1999.
Other people are doing, SENI.
And I thought, okay. And this, by the way, I was still living in an apartment, paying monthly rent, but again.
Oh, you renting and buying a Rolex?
I was just renting horrible financial.
Talking about living in the moment.
Decisions.
Only if you're buying a Rolex, okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is what not to do. So I thought, this is it. I'm going to splurge.
This is what not to do because I'm pragmatic and I like. All right, so we're done here. Rock is ESTP. So what we noticed very early on was that the Rock is very initiating. She was interviewing him and he was talking before her. He initiated with the crowd, that type of thing. So he's extroverted. We also noticed that he's direct, so he's very specific, concise, and to the point with his language. He doesn't leave anything up for interpretation. It's very easy to follow him. He's a TIFE user, so he has his own internal logical framework for TI, and he's an FE user, so he talks about gratitude, being guilty, talking about how other people feel, talking about connection with people. He's an SENI user, so we saw throughout the interview he said a lot of SE statements, like what other people are doing, what he wants to do, looking at what other people are doing and then figuring out what he wants to do. We talked about with his dad or with the wrestling, or some where he said, oh, I saw Muhammad Ali, I saw this, and then I knew I needed to build my body. So that was a very SE statement. We already said that he's direct, he's initiating. So he talks about outcomes. That's the end product. He doesn't walk you through a sequence of how things move from one thing to the next. It's just pretty much the outcome, end product. And he's pragmatic, so he talks about being effective and getting things done. He talked about that earlier. We talked about like wanting to be a wrestler. So pragmatic people will be like rebellious, a contrarian, tend to like freedom, whatnot. While I feel it, people like when roles are given to them, like designated roles and whatnot. But for a pragmatic person, that's taking away their freedom to be effective away. They're like affiliated people like inclusions, kind of like they're interdependent, while pragmatic people are independent. So yes, The Rock is pragmatic. He's an ESTP. And personality database, you got this correct for a change. I think you got 2 in a row. I think you got Michael Jordan right and Dwayne Johnson. But I think Dwayne Johnson pretty much a stereotypical ESTP. But this is Mongolian Mindset, and we're out.